Thank you. I'm Eric Jorgensen. I'm here for SiteFog. To sum up briefly, SiteFog does two things. It harvests spare CPU cycles from users all over the world and resells them to customers that need large amounts of computing power. At the same time, we offer websites a new way to monetize their usership. The problem that we're addressing is an obvious one, monetization. A lot of websites have trouble converting the value that they create for their users into profits. Facebook only recently became profitable. Hulu just turned obnoxious TV ads into obnoxious web streaming ads. Twitter seems to be a nonprofit and confused valuation with actual money making. And Wall Street Journal has annoyed everyone by requiring you to pay to read their articles. And it's had a huge drop in readership because there's obviously a lot of free content online. People are choosing to read that. The solution is SiteFog. So what we do is there's a system that we put in place when websites sign up with us that allow us to harvest spare CPU cycles from users of that website back to our servers and resell that processing power to buyers of spare computing cycles. We have a demo, and what we're going to do is, this is a shot of the server. So you should see results here. John is in the audience with a laptop. He's about to visit a URL that we gave him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. So he's arriving at our website. The server is feeding that block of information that his CPU is processing and feeding back to the server. So we should see it come up here. Does it automatically refresh, or do I need to refresh the page?
Is it done yet?
It says it's transferring right now.
Okay.
Wait
we tested this earlier. The internet's pretty slow in here. So we may be having issues with that, but it will come through. This is just a demonstration of...
It's done? Refresh.
So refresh. And, well, no, this is 820. 820. So his computer just processed our data and refreshed it on our server. So this would be a data set that someone gave us. We allocated to a user. The task was accomplished, back to the server. We would recompile all the data sets that were processed along all of our different users, and the result would be returned to our customer. So, the technology behind this is similar to the distributed computing systems, like SETI at home, Folding at home, Genome Sequencing Project. There's a bunch of other nonprofits where traditionally you install a client on your computer, and then the spare cycles go to processing these huge problems that all these different nonprofits are working on. So we use sort of the same server and distribution software that we would replicate ourselves, and that's the server side. And in the website, the JavaScript that we would actually give them is the thing that takes the task from the server, about a 5-second task to each user's CPU, and returns that data back to the server. This has only sort of recently become possible through JavaScript. What Facebook has done in advancing sandboxing and web workers, which allows us to find out how much CPU, and sort of take an elastic amount of CPU and not affect the user experience according to the client. So our vision is pretty grand. The way we see this is this allows a website to directly monetize a user on a stable basis for how long that user is with that website. The side effect of that is that we can produce cheaper, more efficient processing by using all the CPUs that are already out there to process data that needs to be processed. And what this all adds up to is a pure capitalist democratization of the web. It's simple, it's powerful, and the way we envision it is user hours converts to CPU, and that means money for a website. Thank you.
It's eyeballs, then it was click-throughs, then it was conversions, and now it's 99 eyeballs.
That's right.
All right, it's in the back here, all the way in the back.
Yeah, what does the user get out of this? It sounds like this would slow down his computer, and are you going to pay them?
So in our model, we're imagining that the user is well aware of what's happening, and the user will see how much CPU is being used, and that CPU they'll be shown how many points they're receiving, and they can use those points as payment for whatever service that website is offering. So if it's content from the New York Times, if it's an online game, maybe it's time for the online game. If it's Farmville, it's like you can use 10 CPU points for a cow.
Right here and then.
What if I just want to sell my CPU cycles for dollars?
Sure, you can do that.
So
We'll support that.
They're frequent fire ones.
Does this work for like Amazon Cloud Services? Like, can you channel it through that? Yeah, like if I sign up on Amazon, could I arrange it so I have a lower bill on the processing time that I have on that side? Like, most products now are rolling through cloud services.
If you are a buyer of CPU time on our system, we could potentially provide that service for a lower cost than Amazon can today.
And it's not a botnet, right? It doesn't like,
It's-
welcome to my botnet.
It's a legal botnet.
A legal
it's a
botnet.
permitted bot.
Users are well aware of what's happening, and they're getting value out of that.
It allows the users to show appreciation for a website by allowing them to monetize their CPU. It solves the micropayment system.
Yes, Luis.
Sorry, I love this.
Thanks.
Is it security issues?
Thank you.
So JavaScript in the browser first of all, JavaScript in the browser is sandboxed, which means that when you go to a website and it has JavaScript and is running JavaScript on your computer, today, it cannot affect your other websites that you're at or your data on your computer at all. You can't touch it. And so pretty much everybody is just used to clicking on links and going to websites, and today it's safe. So yeah, it's safe.
Green.
How much do CPU cycles go for an open market? Right?
Amazon currently charges about 10 cents per compute hour on a standard server, which is about, I think, a little bit less than 2 gigs of memory. So that that's approximately like a standard home PC. So 10 cents an hour.
How do you keep this from falling into the wrong hands? I mean, let's stop Comcast from injecting this to every website I go to.
They might already be doing it.
Lily. Yes.
Who's buying these extra CPU cycles, and are you valuing different CPU cycles differently because different people have better or worse? Because
the data is split up over so many different users, we're careful about who the customers are. They have to be okay with small amounts of data falling into potentially public hands. So research computing, parts of that, weather modeling, climate modeling, financial modeling. And to your other question, we're going to do a sort of bid model like Google AdWords. So if you want yours processed very quickly, you pay more. Whereas something like SiteFog could say we're willing to pay half a cent. So some off hours they can get very, very cheap computing because that's all it is.
Sounds like it's a utility computing model as opposed to you're not selling any kind of protection around data.
We're not selling data, no.
Right here, please.
If I wanted to sell my CPU cycles for, say, not 10 cents, but 50 cents, is there a way I can do that and maybe do like an auction?
You could do that, but no one would buy it. Because they can already buy it at 10 cents an hour on EC2.
Okay.
Will this help me run Photoshop faster?
In the near future, no. But maybe if Photoshop changed it so that you could somehow do processing on our system, yes.
If for some reason we could do it.
If we did a partnership with Adobe, yes.
Lori? Yes.
So how are you actually notifying the user that they're actually part of this network?
There's a couple different options. One can be a small fixed box where you say opt in, opt out of supporting this website. Use FogSite to support this website. Another could be a pop-up. Another could be terms of service. Website's choice.
Before we give it up for Eric and Kyle, I want to give it up for you guys. We're doing it like this from here on out. Now let's give it up for Kyle, Malka, Eric Jordan. again next month when